All right, enough speaking. Let me give you some practical stuff. The first pattern I see in clients is what we call in the patterns of chronicity, is the 3-stage abreaction. Now, I don't see all 5 of these patterns with every client, but I'll definitely see 3 or 4, and a high percentage of them I will see 5. So some of these you're going to identify and you're going to know, and other ones you're going to be like, I'm not quite sure if I've seen that, Luke. But the first one I see almost all the time is the 3-step abreaction, and it goes a bit like this. Before a client comes to see me, they filled out a big screening form, all right? So I've seen if that's the kind of person I want to work with. Also, I've done a screening telephone call. I spoke to them for an hour for free to make sure that I can help them and they're going to be a good client. So I already know before I've taken any money if I can help them or not. And if I can't help them, I'm going to respectfully decline. I only want to work with people that I think I'm going to have some kind of agency, some kind of influence in a positive way to help them. So, 3-step abreaction. It goes a bit like this. This is how you can identify it. And it's a technique clients will use most of the time unconsciously to manipulate us, to pull us into their victim story. And I'm not suggesting that they're doing it consciously. Oftentimes they're not even aware of it. But this is one of the underpinned structures that keep their problem in place. So it goes a bit like this. Client shows up 15 minutes late to the session. Hey, John, what happened? Oh, Luke, yeah, I don't want to talk about it. That's the first stage. I don't want to talk about it. Yeah, but we need a full hour to do all the work and to do good quality work here. So I'm just curious, what happened? Look, I told you I don't want to talk about it. I'm getting angry. Second stage. They get angry, emotion. They've given us a warning, an unconscious warning the first time. Don't want to talk about it. Second stage is some emotion starts to get into it. Now, if you keep pushing at this point, yeah, but we really need the hour. What was more important than working on your sobriety? Listen, I told you, don't keep talking about it. You're making me angry. Listen, if you keep talking about it, I'm going to leave. Or I am going to throw that water on you. Or I'm going to get really, really, really angry and upset with you. And this happens in a lot of areas, because I would find that oftentimes, if I hit a nerve in the session, it was almost like this particular pattern was a way that they felt to preserve themselves. But oftentimes our clients, and again, not consciously but unconsciously, they've learned a certain set of behaviors to control or manipulate situations around them. And they may have learned it just because they wanted to feel more safety or security. And it may have served them at some point. But when it comes to change work, therapy, whatever you want to call the kind of work that we do, it's not good. So when I would work with a lot of other hypnotists and healers, they would be scared. They'd be scared to challenge their client because they didn't want to break rapport, right? We're always told we've got to have rapport with our clients to get change. And if I challenge them too much on this issue, it's going to break rapport. Also, we live in a society now where everyone's leaving reviews all the time. And you could do great work, but if you get a shitty review, it can hurt your business, right? So now you want to be authentic, but you also don't want to push it too hard because you don't want to get a bad review. So then you stop coming in at 100% and you start operating at about 50% because you're scared. If you actually challenge them, it's going to break rapport and they're not going to like you anymore. I realized a long time ago it's okay to piss people off. And get quite comfortable at pissing people off because my intention was always to help them. And if I had to metaphorically slap them to get that change, because that's what they were paying me for, then that's what I was going to do. Because I realized by playing small, by playing soft and not bringing something up, because that wasn't the issue that they came with, then I wasn't really serving them. And then I would have these battles. Yeah, you know what? I see that pattern, that 3-stage abreaction. If I don't nuke it, if I don't deal with it now, this has the potential to derail this whole session, this work. They're not going to change. And guess what? They're not going to take responsibility. That's another pattern we'll talk about in a little bit. But they're going to blame me. So I'd have to call it out straight away. I'm going to tell you a little bit later on about how I call that out. But that's the first pattern. Anyone ever experienced that of the client? Does that ring true for anyone? Anyone ever identified? Yeah, a few people, fair enough. And that's just the way that you see it. But there's other ways you might see it. But it's generally, I don't like what you're doing to me, stop. And we're not talking about you doing something bad to them, but it's, again, a control mechanism. Second one, I told you, If you keep doing that, it's going to make me really upset and I'm going to cry. So stop asking me those difficult questions, all right? Because I'm going to cry. All right, listen, I'm upset. Stop asking me about it. I'm going to cry and I'm going to leave. I'm going to leave you a bad review as well. 3 stay bad reaction.